Hello and welcome to the Unleash Your Retirement podcast with your host, David Koren. I'm Wendy McConnell. Well, David, tis the season when we're recording this, right?
It is the season while we're recording that. So that's right.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the cold weather. So
Oh, yes, it is cold.
We're getting a nice cold snap here. So it's
So,
wonderful.
well, what are we going to be focusing on today?
Well, I thought today, when people retire, they go through different phases in retirement. And I thought that would be a nice topic to sort of cover today. This won't be out there until January. So I thought the beginning of the year for anyone who's thinking about retirement and wondering, what it's going to be like. I thought we'd talk about that and sort of what the experiences are and sort of how we plan for that as we go through and prepare people for these different phases and work through it. Because I've literally worked through all of these phases with different clients, and I have clients currently in all of these phases. So I can, it does happen. The timing varies, and the amount of dollars spent in each category does vary by each client too. So, but it's wonderful to think about retirement and the different phases that you're going to go through in retirement, right? I mean, don't you look forward? Okay, when I retire, what's it going to be like?
Yeah, that's why I'm curious as to what these phases are.
I always tell people first and foremost, have a plan of what you want to be doing in retirement. And I usually encourage them to do their travel, that if they want to do travel, do it early on. Now, and therefore, your first phase of retirement is what we call the sort of the go-go years. So you're ready to go. You want to get out there. You got all these plans, things, these bucket list items that you want to click off, and they usually do involve, travel. And so, the first, I don't want to say the first 10 years, maybe or so, 5 to 10 years, you're going to be doing stuff. Your health is usually still pretty good. And you want to go out and get out there and just enjoy things, enjoy that adventure. Go out and travel to the bucket list items that you had, like, okay, hey, let's go see the pyramids, or, let's do the river cruise in Europe, or let's go see the Great Wall of China, or let's go see Machu Picchu in Peru, those types of wonderful things and adventures that people have always dreamed about, but because they were so busy raising kids and working, but now they're in a position where they could take the time to go do some of those wonderful bucket list items and create those memories for themselves. So, that initial phase is a wonderful time. And a lot of people are afraid to do the travel early on because they're worried about the money, right?
Don't want to run out of money.
Oh, I don't want to run out of money. So they're all afraid. And so that's where the planning comes in to sort of say, okay, we look at all their cash flow needs and we say, okay, everything's covered. In fact, you've got this wiggle room, we call it, what's your maximum spending that you can spend during retirement. And, if you're looking at a $10, $15, or $20,000 a year spread between what you spend normally and what you could be spending, we say, well, look, that's your wiggle room. So, you could comfortably say every year you could spend an extra $10,000 or an extra $15,000. So during the go-go years, why don't you pull some of that forward, because later on you're not going to travel probably. When you get to be 85, let's face it, you're going to slow down a little bit. So, in these go-go years, pull some of that money forward, and you could do you could do a $20,000, vacation, or even a $30,000 trip. And by the way, that's about what it costs to do some of these big major trips for two people, for 2-3 weeks. You want to go to Australia, New Zealand, you want to spend a month down there. You may be looking at this, $20,000, $30,000 range easily. So go years, you got to think about, and definitely you don't want to put it off, because that's what a lot of people do. Well, I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Don't put it off. Don't wait. Go ahead and schedule it. A lot of times I tell people, look, schedule that big trip, the one that you really want to go on, the same year you retire, within months. Just plan on doing it. And that's a great way to kickstart your retirement and those go-go years, right? So After the go-go years, most people move into the slow-go years, we call it. Sort of, you just sort of slow down a little bit. You're not going to be traveling as much. You may still do some travel, but it might not be as aggressive. It might not be as physically demanding, right? You know, you may not be planning on hiking Machu Picchu, for instance. You're not going to hike up in the mountains of Peru, you know, but you, or walking the Great Wall of China, not necessarily. So, but there are things you might be able to do and you might want to do still. You know, you may be able to go on some the Rocky Mountaineer, you know, and go through the mountains up there. And, you know, that's not too strenuous. You're not hiking a whole lot. So that might be something you might want to do, or something along those lines, or a river cruise. You know, you can do that and do the easy walking. They call it trips. If you get off the boat, they call it easy walking. So you don't, you're not necessarily having to put in that much physical effort to do the trip, to do the walking. But so then you've got this slow go time period, and this may last 10 or 15 years, depending on your health and, you know, who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. You know, you may be spending more time with grandchildren during this time period. By the way, this is also, a lot of folks do the go-go, and then, hey, the grandchildren have arrived or are getting to an age where they're fun. And so you may slow go and spend more time with grandchildren. That's a good time to be doing that. And sometimes spending slows down a little bit in the slow go time period. You're still going, but you're not spending as much. Early on you are, because the big trips and everything. Later on in life, this is the third phase, and this is sort of what we call the no-go, where your health is now deteriorating a little bit or a lot, and you're just not able to travel. And in fact, some of your expenses, though, are starting to go up as they relate to what? Healthcare.
Yes.
Okay, so now, you know, I know clients are in that phase when they talk about, all I ever do is go to the doctor. Well, you know, they're probably, they're in my no-go phase. They're not traveling.
Right.
They're just trying to get by, and they're seeing the doctor a lot. And this is when we start to talk about, okay, is it time to make that move? And I know I've done a lot of work on making that move into assisted living or into a 50-plus community or something like that. We don't have to deal with the yard work, because that's a biggie for a lot of clients, a lot of folks I've worked with, is they love piddling in the yard, working in the yard, you know, doing stuff there. And for some reason, to them, you know, if they can't do that anymore, you know, that's like, they just won't give that up. It's really hard to convince them that they need to stop doing at least that. You know, they may not need assisted living at that point, but they certainly don't need to be out, you know, cutting an acre of grass or, you know, trying to use a chainsaw to cut up wood piles and things.
No, we don't want that. No.
But unfortunately, a lot of folks that, you know, they don't want to, and especially, you know, I hate to say this, the men are the ones that are the most resistant to making that change. They really don't want to leave that house. They feel like, you know, they've been in that house and this is where they were going to stay for the rest of their lives. And they don't want to leave, you know, so they don't want to change. But it's important to make that change. It's important to make that decision, because it not only benefits your spouse, it benefits your kids, and it benefits you. And in the long run, if you make that move, we've talked about how much people really enjoy it when they do make that move and make that switch. They're really happy about it. You know, they enjoy the free time that not having that yard to take care of gives them. And they enjoy the camaraderie of the new friends that they meet, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get to spend a lot of time with new people. And sometimes they might even do a little bit of local travel, you know, go to the arts, go to a museum, go to, you know, a concert or something like that with a group that they get to know. And they also have people that come into the communities and perform and things like that. So there's a lot of things that go on that people can enjoy. So really it's the go-go years, the slow-go years, and then the no-go years. So that's sort of how to think about it. And again, the timing of these varies. So like I have clients that are still in the slow go years and they're in their 90s. Okay. So they are still very active. They're still doing things. They have not reached that no-go time period yet. I mean, they're not necessarily traveling all over the place, but they are spending time with grandchildren. They are spending time, with their family. They are, doing little things locally. They're still driving. They're still getting around, and they're very capable of doing that, right? They may or may not have moved into an assisted facility at this point or into a plus 50 community. Most of them by this point have moved into if you're in your late 80s, you're probably in a plus 50 community, or you should be. If you're not, then you've got really good yard care people to take care of things for you, which some the clients I'm thinking of in particular do have that. So they don't have to do the yard, which is great. They got people for that. But it's a wonderful way to think about your retirement years, because I get back to emphasizing the early go time period, because if you don't get out there and go and enjoy your money early on, you end up with a big stack of money that just goes on to the next generation, and you didn't get to enjoy it. And unfortunately, if you wait and you get into the no-go time period early, and some people do, unfortunately, some people begin to develop health problems, in their early 70s even. And that's early, by the way. That does happen, just like some people don't get there at all, hardly, it seems like. They go into their 90s. But there are some folks that start to have health issues early on. And if they didn't get their travel in before those health issues developed, they never will.
Right.
Because they just can't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame. It's a reality. But, that's why I encourage folks to really think about what are you going to do in retirement? How are you going to spend your time? And if, travel is something you want to do some of, and I'd probably say 80, 90% of folks that I work with, that's one of the first things, that's high up on their list of what to do in retirement, right? What about you, Wendy?
Oh, I don't even want to wait till retirement. I should be gone now.
Everybody thinks that. Yes. In fact, I've started traveling already. I'm not retired, so I've already started doing some traveling because of that very reason. I got my health.
Yeah.
I want to get out and do some traveling, and enjoy while I can, because I have my health still. I want to be able to do that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I could be looking at, we just don't know what the future holds. So, get out there and enjoy it, and take advantage of your health, because you can't take the money with you. Is a point I'm trying to make. And I tell folks that all the time. And if you're not sure that you have enough, that's why it's real important to work with a firm like ours, to just determine if you've got enough, right? And to really put the parameters around what you can and cannot spend. Because you may be in a position where, unfortunately, you really are tight and you can't really do big travel. But hey, maybe you could do some local travel or something like that you might want to be able to do.
If I understand you correctly, you're saying, you can kind of, take a little bit more in the beginning so that you have the money to travel. But then, it's really the slow go. Doesn't seem like you need a whole lot of money. But then when you get to the no-go, you really you need a lot of money again, because that's when we're talking about all the health needs. And
that's right. Yeah, the health care comes up and becomes a bigger issue later on. Now, fortunately, if you've got good health insurance, a lot of that cost is taken care of, right? The only cost that you really have to worry about out of pocket is when we're talking nursing home care, right? Assisted living or something like that. And what I've found is that for the most part, most of my clients can afford to pay for that as they go, because as long as they get rid of the house and all those expenses associated with it, and they just because their income doesn't stop, their assets don't go away. They just have a new set of bills they have to pay related to the assisted living. And also, if they are in assisted living, more than likely they're not traveling. There's that other spending's not occurring, and they can usually find a way to make that work. And it amazes me that you can make it work even if you don't have a lot. I've seen that with many clients that, and not only with clients, but with people I know that have fallen into that category where they don't have a lot, but because of the way because they had a house, they could sell the house and then use those assets and proceeds to help take care of themselves in a nursing facility for a long period of time, really extending the quality of their life and making them very comfortable for a long period of time. Maybe they don't leave money behind, but that's okay.
Right.
Right. The family, believe me, the kids of your kids, if I'm talking to you and you're a retiree, your kids don't want your retirement. I mean, money. They don't want the money. They want you to be healthy, safe, taken care of. They don't want to have to worry about it. And if that's not the case, don't leave them any money. Right? That's not a good idea. Don't tell them you have any money or anything.
They don't deserve it then.
That's right. That's exactly right. They should be focused on your health, your well-being, your care, and they should want all that. All of your assets should be used for that. That should be their attitude. And if it's not, then there's an issue, in my opinion. So,
right.
Anyway, those are sort of the talk. When we talk about those phases, it is truly a good idea to think this through. And obviously, the point being with retirement and spending is you have to have a plan, and you have to know what you're going to be spending to determine what's available. And you have to have. We do a lot of we call them Monte Carlo simulations to see, we got a lot of variations of what could happen to the market out there, right? I mean, nobody knows what the market's going to do. So you need to plan based on the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to look at everything. And then if you find that nice middle range for where you need to be, and that's what you plan for. That's what you look at, and it can give you that sense of comfort that you need to be comfortable spending whatever it is you want to spend early on in retirement during the go-go years, and knowing that later on in your no-go years you'll be fine, you'll have enough, And if you want to leave money behind because you have these wonderful kids and you just really want to leave them something, hey, great. You can do that, and we can plan for that too. Okay, we can put that in the plan as well. And some people want to leave money to charity. Well, we can plan for that too. You can build that into your plan, and that all adjusts how much you can spend. Where at whatever stage that you're in, we can develop those targets, and that's what planners do. That's really, and when you think about it, that's a complex process. It's not just simple. And so that's why the planning process can be so valuable. And I have to say, it's also why it can be so rewarding for us as planners, because we feel great when we can give people that peace of mind to know about how much they can spend on their travel, if that's what they want to do, or how much they need to be spending to leave a lot of money behind if that's what they want to do. And that is the target of some folks. They want to leave a lot behind.
Mm-hmm.
They want to leave Johnny and Susie. I've had several clients. I want to leave X amount to each kid. That's my goal.
Okay.
Right. And so how do I do that? So we help them with that process.
So you can do whatever you want as long as you have the right plan.
That's right. You got to think it through. I think the important thing is you got to know what you want to do.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. That's the first decision. I always say that when I'm teaching my classes, and I teach retirement planning classes. And when I'm teaching my classes, the first thing I always cover is what's your target? Because if you don't have one, you can't hit it. You've got to know how you're going to be spending your time in retirement and what's important to you. And everybody's different, right? Everybody has a little different take on that. And so that's what you want to be thinking about. Focus on that first. Bring that to a planner and say, this is what I want to do. Okay. And then from that, we can create the plan and tell you, can you do it or not? Probably can, but we can put the parameters around it so that you feel confident. And that's a big thing. It's the confidence that we can give for folks when they're concerned about how I'm going to be spending this money in retirement and can I do the things that I want to do. We can give you that confidence that yes, you can. And in fact, you could even do more or no, you can't quite do that, but this is what you can do. Okay. So wherever you end up on that spectrum, we can help you determine that. And it's, like I said, it's not simple math at all because we have to incorporate inflation concerns. We have to incorporate unpredictable markets. We have to do all of that to really come up with the numbers that work for the person. And everybody's different. For you individually, your plan's not going to be the same as your neighbor's plan. It's going to be different because you've got different goals and objectives and you're starting from a different place.
Yeah. And sounds like, everybody needs a plan.
Everybody does need a plan. That's right. Especially for retirement and for these different phases of retirement that you have to go through. Absolutely.
All right. So, David, if somebody wants help with their plan, how do they go about getting in touch with you?
Well, you just go to our website, rvawealthmanagement.com, and you can click on, you can get a complimentary consultation with us, or you could just do a 20-minute Ask Anything consultation and get me on the phone, and I will talk to you about anything and answer any question. And all this is free, and the initial consultation is also complimentary. So, reach out if you have questions, if you are concerned about your retirement and what you're going to be doing, and whether or not you have enough to do your travel during your go-go years. Give us a call. We can help you figure that out. By the way, our phone number is also on the website.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. That is the word of the day.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, David. And thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Unleash Your Retirement podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.rvawealthmanagement.com or give us a call at 804-497-2100. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of RVA Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.
Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analysis of RVA Wealth Management. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, Private Client Services, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by RVA Wealth Management or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Securities offered by registered representatives of Private Client Services member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. Private Client Services, RVA Wealth Management, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.